All right, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of the 48 Men Podcast. Today, my guest is one of my best friends from college, and I'm super pumped to have this conversation today. He is one of the funniest people that I know, and just, growing up, it was always easier to rag him, but today is going to be not an episode of me ragging one of my friends. It's going to be an episode where we just talk about life and stuff that we've gone through. So, Sage Ledbetter, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Sage, you know how much I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
All right. Well, so Sage is a husband. He is not a father yet that I know of. He's a former collegiate athlete. He is a business and an entrepreneur. And there's so much stuff that you do in business and entrepreneurship that I don't really even know, honestly. I know that you do all your landscape lighting stuff, but if you want to kind of explain a little bit more about what you do outside of all that, because I know that you have your, what's the saying? Your eggs in a lot of baskets or something like that.
Yeah. I definitely have my hands in a lot of baskets.
Yeah. You got your hands full.
That's what I've got. Yeah, no, I have an outdoor lighting company. So we specialize in kind of a low voltage, anything kind of specialty lighting wise, anything like that. And then we do event lighting. That's a great one for us with like the white tents at Auburn, we do like all the lights, string lights and weddings. And
y'all do the ones on game day and stuff?
Yeah.
That's legit. How'd you get hooked up with that?
The tailgate guys, like the people who did it, one of the owners, he reached out and it just went from there. We started out with like one and then it literally just tumbled.
There you go. I was going to ask you a question to start out. I kind of, prefaced you with it a little bit, but I had this idea I was thinking of a fun fact about you, and I was wanting to see if we both said the same thing. So think of what potential fun fact that I could be thinking of about you and see if we say the same thing.
It's going to be my longest field goal. I've got the longest field goal in the state of Alabama.
That is I have longest HS standing for high school, FG standing for field goal, read down on my paper.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, explain that because even when we joined our fraternity, wasn't that your fun fact when we joined the fraternity? Yeah,
no, it was.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. You remember that?
Yeah, I knew I do remember that. Okay, well, explain. No, I don't want to share about it on the podcast. All right, share with us that story and how you do actually have the longest high school field goal in Alabama still to this day.
Yeah. So we were playing Smith Station, and it was right before the half, and they were backed up on their end zone, and it was a fourth down. They had to punt the ball, and our coach was like, and I didn't know about the rule at the time, but he said, he told the ref we're gonna kick a free kick, which by rule a free kick. So when you tell them you can only do it after a punt at the end of the half and at the end of a game. And so what happens is you fair catch the ball, wherever they fair catch it, then you set the ball down in a kickoff block, line up as a kickoff and kick the ball through the uprights. Everybody's like kickoff return and kick it through the uprights. And it counts as 3 points.
There you go. And you have the longest one.
Yeah. 61 yards. So, I mean, if you really look at it, it's not that impressive because from the 40-yard line, which is in high school, where you kick it off normally, to the end zone is 60 yards. So, I mean, the amount of people that, like, my job is to kick it into the end zone, So if you think about it, like the field goal was, just a normal everyday kickoff.
Yeah, but it's different if you have like, you don't get as long of a, as long as a stride to kick it, and you don't have defenders sprinting at you. So it's not really like a time situation either, though.
Yeah, it's really a weird situation because it's kind of hard to aim with the kickoff and kick it through. And I actually missed the first one. I got 2 attempts on it. Did you know that?
Okay, so you have the longest high school field goal record, but you have 2 attempts to do it.
I had 2 attempts. Well, it's hilarious.
Did you shank the first one?
Yeah, no, I didn't shank it. I actually bombed the first one to the right.
Okay.
And it was like, and I was like, because I was like, can I make this? I have no idea how far it was. My judgment was off, and I went up there, stroked it, and it went over the uprights to the right. I was like, oh, cake, I got this. And so I walked up there and I just aimed at the left upright and it went in, and everybody went crazy. They're like, "Wow."
Did you play any other positions in high school, or did you just kick?
No, I literally didn't do anything, and I wish I did, because I felt like
Well, you were
when I went to
fast enough and quick enough to, yeah.
yeah, when I went to Auburn, they did move me to receiver,
Yeah.
and so I had to learn how to run a route with Eli Stove
Yeah.
and those type of beasts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is where I'm wanting to go, because I know, if you're listening, Sage did end up playing, go to play football at Auburn as a kicker, and you did not get to play maybe as much as you would have liked to have.
Right.
But I think what's super cool about you is you're a super committed person. So whatever you do, it's very hard. It's very hard for you to get off of like an idea or to something, because you just don't have a quitting mentality. And I can just think all throughout college, as many times as everyone said, Sage, you should just give it up. Just from the standpoint of like, whether it's hanging out or just trips or whatever, you were very you were bound to the football team and to practicing and to games and traveling and all that kind of stuff. So, I really want to ask you, like, for people listening who, maybe can just be kind of flippant with stuff, and, if they don't enjoy it, they just kind of quit or give it up. But for you, when you went to go play football at Auburn, what made you stick it out for those 4 years? And because you played 4, didn't you? Because you weren't there with COVID. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking maybe COVID made you play another year, but they didn't. Yeah. So for your 4 years, what made you really, stick it out and not quit or not give up? Because I know that was your dream to go play there.
I mean, it was a really hard experience for me, and it was really difficult. I mean, throughout the entire time, all of the workouts, I mean, I was with you guys, and then so I was balancing a life with y'all and with football and in school, and it was a lot to keep up with.
Which
And
you
definitely,
you didn't really balance school too much.
no, I didn't balance school.
You can't throw
Yeah.
school in there.
Yeah, we that because we lived together, so you knew how much I studied. But yeah, I mean, I think it was. I'm never been a quitter, so I think
Yeah.
that was a big deal to me. Is I really care about what people think about me, and maybe to a fault sometimes. And so I think just it was never a question. I wasn't going to quit. They were going to have to kick me off, or that like I was going to finish. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. Like, it really sucked those 4 years a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I mean, my senior year when they did, I was the holder. So I got to hold the ball. That was my claim to fame, which is not much to hold on to. But for me, it was a lot, because
Hey, you were on that field every day.
I was on that field, and exactly. And it was fun to go travel. And there's a lot of behind the scene things with college that people don't know about. Like, there's a lot of levels to achievements that are big deals to us and to college athletes, but to a regular bystander, they have no idea about. And so just being able to go out there, they tried to take it away from me after the first game. I held it against Oregon in Dallas, did everything fine. And then they were like, we're going to give this scholarship guy an opportunity. And I went and I had to go talk to Malzahn. I was like, hey, I've busted my butt for 3 years. This is my 4th year. I'd love the opportunity to hold the ball. I haven't messed up. I performed against Oregon, and he was like, you're right. We're going to give you the thing back. But it's like, it's to that level. It was just a lot of difficult things, but I'm really proud looking back. I think I hold on to that,
Yeah.
So
do you think if you didn't have that confrontational moment that you wouldn't have held it again throughout the year?
If I didn't have the competition?
No, the confrontation.
Oh yeah. If I didn't have it, they weren't going to put me back.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think sometimes we think like, oh, well, but sometimes you actually do have to take matters in your own hands and be like, no, I'm actually going to go, vie for myself. And I'm actually going to go put myself out there and, have a confrontation moment and not be a jerk, but really put myself out there and say like, hey, no, I think that I deserve it. Because I think sometimes, we just don't let ourselves do that because we don't want to, come off as rude or whatever. But it's like, no, if you didn't have that conversation with Malzahn, then you might have never seen the field again, and you probably would have regretted that for the rest of your life. If you didn't know this already, I love athletic greens, and I take it every day. Every morning before I go to the gym or before I start my morning routine, I use my AG1, and I love it for all my workout habits. I love it when I travel. It's a big part of my travel routine. And I think it tastes delicious. The taste is smooth. It's not super chalky. It has so many vitamins and minerals that help me with my gut health, with my immune system. And I really do feel like it gives me more energy when I'm in the gym. I feel like it helps with even my strength at times because I feel like I just have more energy. AG1 was designed with ease in mind so that you can live healthier and better without having to do a lot. It's seriously the healthiest thing that you can do in under a minute. And in each serving, it has 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day off right and to help your gut health and to help yourself. The thing that I love about AG1 is that it's super easy to take. And like I said earlier, you can do it in under a minute. And even when I travel, they have these travel packs that I can bring with me when I travel and when I need some health on the go. And very quickly, when I started taking AG1, I noticed that it helped with my digestion, it helped support my sleep, and it helped me be in better moods. And not only do I take AG1, but I've also gotten people around me to take it as well. My family loves taking it. My mom and dad have been taking it. My neighbor, who actually had a travel pack sample of mine, started taking it as well. And he just ordered it for the first time. And I've also gotten some people from the Duck Call room to take it as well. I had John David on my podcast as a guest earlier this year, and he is now taking AG1 and he loves it as well. So if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/huff. That's athleticgreens.com/huff. Check it out. Yeah, but I mean, I do think that's something that we, sometimes can undervalue, is that idea of actually being confrontational with things. Because like you said, if you didn't go talk to Malzahn after that game, then you might not have gotten to see the field again for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have. And I think it meant a lot to Malzahn that I did go and talk to him and kind of stood up for myself. So, I mean, I definitely wasn't a jerk by all means. I have a healthy respect for the leadership above me, but at the same time, like being a preferred walk-on, you have to hold your own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I could even think of stories when we lived together, and you would be late to practice, and you would have, I can't remember, like, what was the number of burpees you had to do that one day for being late to the workouts?
Yeah, it was like a known thing. I had the worst punishment ever during my 4 years. It was like, cause I was the guy that was there and never really, like, I say this humbly, I never really struggled through the conditioning. I was, I'm slimmer. I just I wasn't really I wasn't bigger. I didn't struggle running. It was fine. It came naturally easy to me. So coach, when our strength and conditioning coach got a chance to break me, he tried his hardest. So I was late for by 2 minutes twice. The first time I did 800 burpees. Okay. And that was it. And I was like, all right, not terrible. It sucked. Won't happen again. Well, that was my sophomore year. My junior year, I was late by 2 minutes one more time. And the first time I did 800 burpees freehand, free without a whistle on my own pace. Okay. I just needed to count them and get them done. The second time I did 800 burpees on the whistle. So on his whistle where he's like up, down, blowing the whistle at me.
Yeah.
And then he told me, go grab your suit, which is your sweatsuit. And I had a board and I had this 2x4 and I had to line up horizontally. So going to 55 yards across, and I had to push it across down and back 7 times. I had 17 minutes. And he said, if you don't make it, you're cut. And I had to make it.
I didn't know he said that you were cut if you didn't make it. I remember that story, but I don't remember him saying that.
Yeah. And even after I made it, I still had to go meet with the walk-on coach because he was saying that the strength and conditioning coach wanted to cut me either way. And they were like, no. But that's just how they are. They just, walk-ons, you can leave, but scholarship, if you're there, I mean, you can pretty much, we had guys that were late every workout. They did 50 burpees and that was that.
So they were just trying to make an example out of you.
I mean, I'll put it this way. The pride that you have for graduating a walk-on and graduating a scholarship player, they're not comparable. Like what we go through compared to what they go through, it's not the same. So.
Yeah. Well, because I think even like you said, that like those moments where like that reality of after you do those burpees, that can either make you, want to quit or give up, or can make you want to, like kind of in a prideful way, but almost just like in a, like taking pride in yourself, not really being prideful, but more so just being like, no, I'm going to bow up and I'm going to go get it done because, you're not going to make me quit just because you
Yeah.
don't want me to be here kind of thing.
And I mean, I learned a lot of valuable lessons. I mean, don't be late. It never looks good, you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I definitely took a hard punishment, took it on the chin, but I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like that's part of man, being a man, you know?
No, for sure. Well, so throughout college, you know, we were super close freshman year. We didn't live together freshman year, but we got to live
Yeah.
together sophomore year and junior year. And we both went through a bunch of seasons together of some healthy stuff, but also some unhealthy stuff. I'll say sophomore year, you know, when you were addicted to Fortnite, I was going through my unhealthy eating habit phase. And then junior year, we'll kind of get into that. We'll get into junior in a little bit, but sophomore year, you know, for you, because like you said, you had school, you had friendships, you had football, you had so much stuff going on. Then you even had work. How do you feel like throughout college you were intentional about pursuing your relationship with God?
I think freshman year, it was a culture. I mean, I think our friend group was just abnormally awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
We had a really great group of guys that were just solid. And so it was for us, you know this. I mean, we just that freshman year, our entire college experience, it was cool to go to church. You know, like that
Yeah.
was what we did. Like it wasn't a question if we were going to miss church or not. Like we all wanted to be at ACC there, worshiping the Lord. It was a normal thing for people to do their quiet time, see it during the week. And so it was really encouraging. I mean, for me, I was always naturally encouraged by just the people I surrounded myself with. So
Yeah.
it was never like I really went through a phase where I fell off super bad. I would say I fell off one time at the end of my freshman year when I was coming by myself. But then I ended up living with Xander that year, and he came back from China. And that was kind of this, he like kind of sat me down and like talked to me and was like, brought me back to reality and was like, hey, you need to pick it back up.
Yeah.
So,
Do you remember how many arguments we got in over Fortnite?
it was, you know, and in my defense, it was not me. It was our other roommate. It was, you know, he was definitely the Fortnite guy. And then I was just sitting there with them, you know, and you studied, you took school pretty seriously.
I did. Yeah, I did take school
You were
seriously.
very serious about school, and I was not.
Which was so funny because there was like, we had so many levels of like, Hollis was super, super smart, but never
Yeah.
really had to study.
Yeah.
I was like middle, like I was like not the smartest, but I just like worked super hard.
Be careful
And
what you're about to say.
and you were just like only doing football, and you were like, yeah, just whatever happens. I don't really care.
Oh, I mean, I remember I got away with college, though. I mean, you know the stories I have.
Yeah,
You know,
which
getting
but I'm
away.
saying it's funny because now you're like super, super successful.
Well, I mean, school is never my thing, but I was always working during like college.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
I don't, you know. So I knew how to make money. You know, that was my talent. I would say. I like being my own boss. I worked for somebody or did something. You know,
Yeah.
school was just I
Yeah.
was there.
No,
You
but
know?
it was just funny because you would be like, this is just an example of like Sage. Like let's say we're hanging out tonight, and then you're like, oh shoot, I have a test tomorrow morning. Like like somebody else would be like, oh, I should probably go study, but you would be
Yeah.
like, well, at this point, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't study. I did not. I've got some hilarious. You remember the story about me walking into that 50-question true or false
No, I don't remember
test?
that.
You don't remember this? It
Well,
was our junior year.
I remember the true false test, but I don't remember like what happened before it or after or
Our
anything.
junior year, you know, when you were really studying your tail off, I was not going to class, and I was dating Maggie at the time. So I'd go and, you know, football, they made us leave our phones in the room, or we had to have our phones to make sure we go to class.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'd go and put my phone outside on a
I
picture
remember that.
frame,
No, you
you
put
know.
and you put it in. You'd put it in the bushes.
Yeah, and so they'd think I'm there, and I'd just leave, and I would go do whatever. And I would, so I went into this business law class, and they were having a test. I had no idea, and I walked in there, and 50 true or false questions. I was like, all right, well, you know, I was already 15 minutes late
I got
walking in.
50% chance of getting it right.
I said, well, we're just going for it. So I said, I did all true, and I just handed it right back to him and said, have a good day. And then I walked back out, and I went to class the next day to see how bad I did. I'm in a 90, 96. he had 2 false answers on there. And I told you that story and you were like, this is
I
crazy.
remember
You're
that
like,
now. But that's what I'm
yeah.
saying, like stuff like that. Like if that was me in that situation, I would have studied for because I'm always like super in my head, especially when I take tests. Like when I would take tests and stuff like that, I would have studied for days and I would have been so in my head of like every 48 of these questions I have put true. I'm like, there's no way that is accurate. But
Yeah.
you're just like, whatever. And then it's like you get a 96. Then it's like you don't study. You didn't know there was a test. You're late, and then you probably did better than three-fourths of the class.
Literally. Yeah, yeah. It was not what I would advise anybody to do. I'm definitely gonna make my kids do better.
No, for sure. Well, I want because like I said, we went through uh sophomore year together, and then junior year, me and Sadie started dating. You and Maggie started dating. And our junior year was really cool because sophomore year it was me, you, and another roommate, Hollis, and then we went to junior year where it was like 9 of us in this house together, which was awesome because it was it was 9 solid dudes. It wasn't like
Yeah.
we weren't living in like a crazy house where we had parties all the time. It was just it was a super super awesome situation, and we ended up going through the Freedom Group series
Yeah.
that the Highlands did. And I want to talk about this because throughout all of college, you were always super practical with, situations of like if I'm struggling with something, and if I want to, eradicate it or whatever, I'm going to do some kind of like drastic, some kind of drastic consequence to help, to help me stop doing this. So, for instance, like with like pornography, right? Throughout our Bible study, I can remember you being in situations of like, me, Harrison, and Paul of like, if I watch pornography, like I have to pay them like $500. And
That was with Jackson.
but it's just so funny
Yeah.
because like, I mean, like even methods like that, I can remember like in college, like, and me and you talked about this. Like, I'm like, look, like I don't really necessarily even like, agree with that, but for you, it's working. So, can
Yeah.
you kind of like shed a little bit on like, practical ways that you did, because even like with juuling of like, with vaping and stuff of like, if I do whatever, like I don't get this for like a week. And then, so stuff like that. How do you feel like putting like practical steps into place helped you just kind of like fight against stuff that you were struggling with in college?
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts with like our friends, and I mean, Jackson, Paul, and Harrison. I mean, I remember it was sophomore year when that was started. It was initiated by Jackson. And it was and I remember that was a big deal for us. Just because, I mean, since this day, I mean, I still haven't looked at it. I
Yeah.
haven't watched pornography. And it's been something that really I mean, I didn't really struggle with it too bad. In my freshman year, just because I was so busy, I would say that I was just constantly doing stuff. So I wasn't, when I'm busy, I'm not really thinking like that. And then,
Yeah.
and I always was met with temptation whenever I was by myself. But that sophomore year, when we initiated that with our friends, I mean, that was the end of it for me. And that was a big deal because my friends kept me accountable. But then also, like, I didn't want to pay them that money. I didn't have that type of money really. I was just trying to, but we always thought it was really fun to do stuff like that. But it was a great way. I think it was a great way for us to stay practical and say, all right, let's be open about it in our own way, and let's really try and beat this. So, yeah.
Would you feel like over time, like having, because, because I do think that to beat something like that, there has to, it's like affections, right? Like there has to be more affection like for God than to look at, pornography. And to really defeat that, it's more of just like, do I desire, like, what do I desire more, right? So I want to desire this more than I desire this. So how do you feel like over time, putting practical, because I would say like, if I'm going to pay you this much money to like not do something, like it maybe doesn't necessarily start with the heart, but it can get there of like over time, like the Lord's like softening you in that. So how do you feel like over time, not watching it just, maybe because you don't want to pay someone a couple $100, that you felt like God working on your heart, like in that time period.
Yeah, I think there was a lot. There was a lot that had to come together for it to really resonate with me and sit in and become who I am today. Because I think like one of the things that has transitioned. I mean, it's really difficult. I would say. I mean, I'd say the devil's really good at tempting us men, into doing things like that. Even married men still. It doesn't go away. And I think that it becomes kind of like who you are. And so I think God has to transform your heart. And there's a lot of like little things that went into that specific time. And I think it was God's path. I mean, the $500 bet was really kind of just like the ticker. And then from there, it's like my heart was slowly transformed because, like I said, our friend group, we would go to church on Sundays. It was who was around. It was constant encouragement. It was constant, like, constantly knowing this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And so that $500 bet was kind of like the start. But I do think like I say this to some people because they're like, we like to work out, right? Some people would be like, oh, I want to go work out. For instance, Hollis, for instance, he's into working out sometimes, and then sometimes he's not, And but
he's very like he can be wishy-washy with it.
Yeah, it's wavy. But I tell him, I'm like, for me, like I feel that way, but I'm not going to like. It's a constant battle for me. There's some days where I just don't want to go to the gym, but I feel like I know I have to. It's kind of like who I am. And I feel like that's the same thing where you have to like it becomes a part of who you are. You don't look at pornography. You're a man of God. You start leading people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like who you are. It's not like pornography is a fruit. It's not the root. You know what I'm saying? So you have to fix the root before you can go and take, so.
I'm thinking of a funny story that has to do with our Freedom Group series and juuling. Can you specifically think of what situation I might be talking about?
I mean, are you talking about like every time we pray, I'd consistently jewel?
Sort of. So we had this one moment where all of us and I were sitting on the couch. We had like worship going. We had just gone through the study or whatever, and you had this confessional moment of like, guys, I really want to give this up. I really feel bad about it. Because you and like because y'all would get to a point where. And trust me, I had my fair amount of jewel hits as well. Never owned one, but I would always bum them off a friend. But you would like remember you would go like throw them in the pond, and then you'd be driving on the road, then you'd go buy another one.
Oh, I mean, I literally back when jewels were like $100, I'd go throw it in the pond and go buy another one the next day. Now I look at them in the gas station; they're like $19.99 or $9.99.
You were addicted before the price came down, but you had this moment at Bible study where you were like, look, guys, I really want to quit this, this like confessional, like repentance moment. And, you had like kind of shared all this, and then you had stopped. And then like right after you had said it, you like pull your jewel out of your pocket and then you hit it. But it was, and I think Connor King was like, Sage, you just hit your jewel.
Oh, that's definitely something.
But it got to a point, but it was like, it was just funny because it wasn't like a conscious, like, what I'm saying? You weren't thinking about it. It just got to where you were like, that just became like a habit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no. Yeah. I mean, juuling was terrible. I mean, I'm so thankful that I've dropped all nicotine. So I have been nicotine free for 2 years now. And it was by far, I tell these people, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, stopping nicotine. Because that jewel got me so addicted.
And you were in a relationship that I can't see Maggie wanting to put up with that.
Oh, she did not. Yeah. She really encouraged me to stop, and that was what I didn't want to be. I mean, I didn't want to be 40 years old with kids juuling. Let me go get a pack of pods. And that's just not who I wanted to be. So
no, that's usually not a good look.
No.
When you see like the middle-aged man in the gas station buying a vape.
Not it.
No hate or shame, but that's just we wanted to quit that earlier before we got into our upper ages.
It was a college thing that could have easily and has turned for many people to past college, sadly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to talk to you about you're married now. You ended up marrying your college sweetheart, so to speak. The first time you saw Maggie, you fell in love with her. Um, how do you feel like, throughout your college, whenever you and Maggie started getting serious, how do you feel like y'all's relationship and then kind of moving towards marriage? How do you feel like, one, how did you really pursue her in college, and how do you feel like she helped grow your faith throughout college, going through stuff that we were all going through, whether it was pornography or juuling or vaping or whatever? How do you feel like she helped you in that time, and how do you feel like you still pursued her?
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I saw my wife and I was like instantly obsessed with her and pursued her forever and finally convinced her to date me like
It took a
the end
while.
of our sophomore year. It took like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it still, it took a long time of convincing her that she still should be dating me while she was dating me. But I got it and I married her. So like now I'm like, I won,
Yeah.
Uh,
Now hopefully you're not convincing her to stay married to you.
No, yeah, no. Now we're good to go. And she's like,
There you go.
so, but no, Maggie has always been very solid in her faith and she took it very seriously. So she went to a Christian school, high school growing up. And I think that had a lot to do with it. So she knew her Bible knowledge, just a lot of that was there. And so that was always a part of her life, a lot more than it was mine. And so as we started dating, it kind of was a constant conversation for us and a constant encouragement. And I'd say this, I mean, this is a pretty interesting topic, but I mean, pretty much there is at some points and there's some relationships where I will say Maggie and I mean, at some point Maggie kind of led me almost because was not mature enough, and I
Yeah.
was not mature in my faith. And she was there. She showed up, and she was there to kind of push me. And she did that multiple times throughout our college career. And I think that was a lot of why and who I am today is because of what her constant encouragement. So,
Yeah. Well, that was the cool thing in college, because me and you lived together in that kind of limbo phase of, you were you were head over heels in love, and she was like not really sure, but yet you kept showing up, you kept being present, you kept being there.
yeah.
How do you feel like you stayed in that posture of, look, maybe she doesn't like me, but hopefully one day she will. I'm just going to keep pursuing her.
I mean, I just was like, I'll say this.
You were just bound and determined.
If you ask her, she was like, I didn't like you. But if you ask me, I felt like she did. So maybe it was like I was clueless and just took little clues or like took little moments and held on to them to give me to the next time we hung out. But I could have sworn, from the first time we met, I mean, we just had like a different relationship. And
Yeah.
we'd always hang out like forever. I mean, we'd hang out till 1 a.m. just talking,
Yeah.
just driving around talking. And I mean, so either she led me on really well or, I mean, I was just clueless. I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
funny. It's funny you bring up those the little clue parts, because I can remember she would like ask you to like pick her up from class or something, and you would be like, I really think she's into me.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I'd talk to you about it when we were going to the gym and stuff. I was like, I mean, and I would always text her and be like, hey, let's go get ice cream or something. Or purposely read her messages so that she would, so it looked cool, that type of stuff.
The type of like middle school stuff that we were doing in college.
Yeah, stuff I'm really embarrassed, but I can laugh at now,
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Now that you have a ring on it, you can laugh about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, all throughout our friendship, if I think about people who are just like naturally servant people, like you're one of the first people I think about from a standpoint of like, if I have a flat tire, if I'm struggling with something, like you would go out of your way to go help somebody. Like you're just naturally just you just naturally have a heart to serve. How do you feel like what do you feel like you've learned being in marriage and serving your wife versus serving a stranger or friendships or whatever? How do you feel like you've kind of adapted to serving your wife's needs and just all that
Yeah.
marriage stuff?
Well, thank you for the kind words. You've been hyping me up a lot. I'll hype you up here too. I feel like you were the same way. But no, I mean, I think it's taken a lot of learning. It was a big learning curve for me because, you can be serving your wife and providing this love that you feel like you're doing, and she may not be receiving it the way that you think you're giving it.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so figuring out how to like correctly serve her in a way that she would receive it in that way, loving her, was something that was new for us, because we were spending so much time now together, because we were dating, but we didn't live together. So after we got married, that was our first time where we had spent all, that was the start. Now we've spent all this time together. And so it took a lot of learning, but I feel like, serving her is easy. She's not hard to serve. So I think that's a big part of it is she's not needy, and so there's little things that I do. Just the little stuff that I can do for her that'll go a long way. And I really enjoy it, because what I found is when I serve her, I fall more in love with her. So it's a good thing. So
Yeah. What do you feel like you've learned the most in marriage?
how to be selfless. That is by far the biggest thing. It is not about me. It is about us. It is about him. It is about God. It's not something that we can, I would say that just every bit of flesh in our body is telling us and trying to convince us that this life is about us. And so it's kind of a constant walk, and a constant, like, you have to constantly, check yourself and understand that, you have to be selfless in everything.
Yeah.
So,
No, so good.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I interviewed one of my friends a couple of weeks ago, and we had talked about how it really is at times more difficult to, serve our family, serve our wife, than it is to, serve a friend or to serve, a stranger or whatever. How do you feel like do you feel like at times that can be true for you as well?
Oh yeah. No, I feel like you can put a mask on. A lot of people can put this mask on in front of others and say, and be this certain character that they want them to think about, but then come home and they're a completely different person.
Yeah.
And that can go, I definitely have fallen victim to that too, with work, being a leader, being a boss, and then coming home and, honestly slacking off, just wanting to get on my phone, sit there and not say anything, not be present, not ask about her day, stuff like that I've fallen, and I've noticed. So,
Well, I know that you're a disciplined, 4:30 a.m. Workout person. How do you feel like? Well, one, what are you really doing right now with fitness, and how do you feel like having those times in the morning, one, really help shape, kind of your day throughout, whether it's, feeling close to God and really just being a good husband and being a good friend. How do you feel like those morning times when you're going to the gym, how do you feel like that kind of discipline there helps shape the rest of your day?
yeah. I wasn't always a 4:30 person. I was like a 6 a.m. guy.
Which is still
And
early,
what would
man.
happen?
Six. I mean, when I see, if I worked out I left the house at 6:20 yesterday, and it was brutal. Like that's just too early for me. So I really, sorry, I'm talking over you. I commend you for the 4:30, but yeah, I used to do 6, which either one is still way too early for me. So you can continue.
Well, you could do it if you had to, because I used to be 6, and then I'd work out till about 7:15, and then go to work by 8.
Yeah,
And now, what it would slack there is the fact that I didn't have a quiet time.
yeah,
So what I wasn't making time to be with the Lord. And so what would happen, and what I found was, like, I just got to man up, and I've got to put that time in there, because I'd always be like, oh, I'll do it during my lunch break, or, oh, I'll do it, after work. It never
it
happened,
never happens.
and so, yeah. And it's like, always like, if you don't do it right then and there, you're not going to do it. And so that's what, I really had to prioritize that, because I was like, I'm just going to wake up earlier. Like, I'm going to sacrifice my sleep and my time so that I can be with God. And so that was what I did. I bumped it up to 4:30, 5. And so I'm able to work out till 6:15, get to actually do my quiet time at my office when no one's there. And so I'm able to come home, shower, and then leave and do my quiet time from 7 to 8.
Yeah.
And so that was why. And so, yeah.
What time do you go to bed when you do that?
10, same. I don't need a lot of sleep. I found that. So I've been doing it for about a year now. And so, yeah.
Well, just wait till you have a kid. I wonder if you'll still be saying that after that.
I'm determined to still work out at 5 a.m. That's what my goal, and because I'm kind of like aware of how difficult the sleep is, which I heard you wake up, you woke up with Sadie and were there every time she got up, which I think is
That is
crazy.
true. I did.
That that is
But at the
unbelievable.
same time, I was also slightly more annoyed than Sadie was in those moments, which I needed to work on.
Yeah.
She was a lot more nurturing and caring, and I was just a lot more just make the bottle, just please for the love, stop crying, kind of more harsher approach, which I do not recommend. But I do think that like even for you, like if you want to continue that, because we're building a house right now, and we're about to have a second baby in the next couple months, and I'm like, if I really do want to keep up, maybe with working out super early in the mornings, like it's going to benefit me to have something at my house, rather than driving,
Oh yeah.
15, 20 minutes to the gym and then working out, then whatever. Like, I do think that like having something at my house is going to help me more in those moments of like, not getting a lot of sleep or waking up super early or maybe needing to sleep in because the baby was crying all night. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a
Yeah.
different experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as we grow and as our lives change, I mean, our priorities shift, and so I'm aware, if the baby needs me at 5, that's where I'm going to be. Curls aren't over my child. You know what I'm saying? So,
There you are.
um,
I'm trying to think of a
but
funny slogan you could say for that. I'll have to maybe think about that, but
be hilarious.
we'll
But
think of a funny one. But yeah, no,
yeah,
it is like, I mean, but then again, I know people like that having a baby hasn't changed their workout habits at all. Like Nick Bear, for instance. Like when I talk to him, like nothing nothing that he does changes. Like he still runs at 5:30 every morning, no matter how long or not long his baby sleeps. And I'm like, that is
I think that shows a lot of
that's
strength on
very
his wife.
admirable.
That
Are
shows.
you saying I'm weak? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it, every man who gets to work out like that, there's definitely a strong wife in the background, just like,
Oh, for
being
sure.
selfless and doing the mom stuff, which, by the way, you asked what fitness stuff I'm doing. I'm doing Nick Bear's program. I've done actually 4 of his programs this year.
Have you really?
Um, yeah, well, I ended a few early, but like I did the strong one, and
Yeah.
I did the go one more. We just did that, and I just started this week the cut program, um, and yeah, I like it a lot. I
What
like his
you
stuff.
what are you trying to cut to? You don't need a cut.
I think it's more of like I'm kind of to a weight where I want to gain maybe like
Now
5.
Bradley could use the cutting portion, but I don't think you could use the cutting portion.
Well, and Bradley is, I mean, you want to talk about a strong man, a freak. He will sit there and do more pull-ups. He'll knock out 30 pull-ups in a row at 3 times, like set wise. I mean, he's 220 pounds bending the bar, and he is like repping them out. So I mean, I'm just trying to get to I'm trying to get to the level of like have this, the stamina, but then it'd be like a little cut,
Because I know you shared a little bit, last time we talked. But what are your goals right now that you're trying to work towards?
I'm trying to get 315 on bench. I think that was something that I did back in college, and I'm trying to get that. And I'm really close, but I'm trying to get a lot of the big number that I want to hit is 315 on bench, and then do 100 pull-ups in 3 sets. Do you follow? You follow? His name is it's Cameron Haynes. Is Truett
Yeah,
Haynes.
Truett Hands. Yeah, I
He
mean, yeah,
is.
I don't follow him, but I keep up with his stuff. It's pretty
Have you
crazy.
seen, all the stuff? So like he'll get into these little like he'll get into these things like he did pull ups, and so he
It was like
beat
a
David
pull up, push
Goggins.
ups in like 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I saw
then
that.
and then now he's on dips. So
Yeah,
he's doing like 1,000 dips a day, stuff like that. I mean, he's doing insane, or he's doing 415 weighted dips.
yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be said in like body weight exercises. So I'm trying to grow in that aspect.
Is he your inspiration?
I wouldn't say he's my inspiration, but I do look at him like because he'll randomly go run a marathon without training. You
Yeah,
know,
no, he's definitely unique for sure.
all that to me is a mental. That's
Yeah,
just mental strength.
yeah.
Like that.
And he's done an ultra,
Yeah,
like the 100
he's
miler.
just legit. Yeah, I mean he's a real deal, and I love. That have you heard David Goggins talk? And he's like that little voice, and you hear it, and it's like you hear it, and it's like, you should go run right now. You should go run. Or like, oh, if you're running right now and you're only supposed to run 2, but you want to, but that voice is like, we should run 5.
Uh-huh.
Your body will immediately shut it down. But I feel like I want to learn to be able to attack that voice.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I can see you listening to David Goggins.
Oh my gosh,
he's usually not someone I gravitate towards, but I appreciate the people who do find inspiration in his stuff.
He's just strong. I think it's just a lot to be said with mentally strong people.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
There you go.
That's what I like about him. Yeah.
There you go. What were you about to say?
What are you doing? Are you doing a program?
Yeah, I'm following. So I found this guy on social media. He has a program, like a training app called like Train Heroic. But I really like it because it's different. So it's like it's weird. It's like heavy compound lifts mixed with like bodybuilding mixed with like CrossFit. So it's like a weird thing, but it's like conditioning stuff, but also like strength lifts. But I love it because every 3 weeks, like it's a whole new cycle.
Yeah.
So it's like I usually work out I usually work out 5 days a week. But each week, every 3 weeks, it's like completely new lifts. So 1 week it might be heavy front squats. So then maybe it's like lighter front squats with bands. Then maybe it's a back squat or a box squat kind of stuff. So I really like it just for like the differentiation of it, of like, because I can get super like mundane with stuff. Of like if I follow the same thing for 2 months or 3 months, I kind of just get bored. So I've been following. His name's Jason Brown. He has a training app called Train Heroics. I've been following him because I like the variation of stuff that he kind of does and the conditioning mixed with some of the strength stuff. But I'm not training for anything right now. I'm just working out for kicks and giggles.
You did that 5 mile and 500-pound squat.
Yeah, I attempted
it. I'm going to say you did it.
I attempted it, but thank you.
Yeah, it was very impressive results. No, are you looking at something else?
No, I'm not right now, especially just with us about to have the baby. I'm not really thinking about anything.
Do you meal prep? Like, what do you do in the kitchen?
No, I don't do anything nutritionally.
You don't protein count? You don't take protein shakes or try?
No. I drink protein shakes, but I'm not like counting the macros in it and like, if I have this much protein, that means I didn't have this many carbs. I don't. You saw me. You had a front row seat there my sophomore year. That was not fun.
You've always had but I'll say this: you've always had incredible genetics. Yeah. Big Chan, he passed down some real genetics to 2 boys. Because you always had, when we'd work out in sophomore year and junior year, you were always bigger than every one of us. So
yeah, but I'm so much bigger now than I was then, though.
Well, yeah,
from a strength standpoint, but no, I'm saying like sophomore year, like you just saw like just the slippery slope of like you get some physique in your head, then you want to try to achieve that. Then it's like, well, here's what you do. It's like you work out this much time, then you work out this many days a week, then you eat chicken, broccoli, brown rice, broccoli, whatever, like sweet potatoes, like just the unhealthy habits of it. And like I said, that's for other people, that's that's fine, but for me, I just didn't really. That was not for me.
Well, and you love food so much.
That's true. I do love food too much. So
I just think about you all the time because you would eat food way faster than anybody else. You would eat a pancake in 2 bites, like large pancake.
I could do that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I could do that. Sage, man, well, thanks so much for joining me, dude. I really loved having you and just reliving a lot of our fun, silly, stupid, but also really cool, powerful moments that we got to share on in college. Because I do think it's cool, like when you look back and you have a balance of like, like there's some stupid stuff in there, but if the overarching theme of everything is what God did in our lives and the dumb stuff that we did, but we learned from it. We took from it. I really think it's special to look back and see what God did in our lives in college. And I'm super grateful that we were able to live together for 2 of those years, and just iron sharpening iron. And grateful to know you, grateful that we're friends, and love you, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, no, well, thank you so much for having me here. I mean, I think it's awesome. I'm just really honored to be a part of for it, man. I think it's such a cool thing, and I really hope that this thing explodes and it goes
Oh, come
huge.
on. Hey, you're gonna help it explode with this episode.
Well, thank you for having me, and I love you, and I'm
Yeah,
thankful
brother.
for our friendship. So
Love you too, man. So thankful for you. This was awesome.